Everyone warned her to stay away from Damian Blackwood. They called him cold, ruthless, obsessed, the kind of billionaire who destroyed lives without regret. But the moment Elena walked into his office, something dangerous began between them. What started as stolen glances and forbidden tensions soon turned into an all-consuming love affair filled with power, jealousy, secrets, and obsession. And when Damian realized he would burn the entire world just to protect her, Elena understood she had already fallen too deep to escape. The rain hit the glass walls of the penthouse like bullets from the sky while Elena Carter stood frozen near the elevator, clutching the soaked file against her chest. She had never belonged in places like this. Men in custom suits moved through the marble lobby downstairs with the confidence of kings, while women dripped diamonds and perfume worth more than her yearly rent. Yet somehow, tonight, she was here. 23 floors above Manhattan. Alone. Nervous. And about to meet the most dangerous man in the city. Damian Blackwood didn't look up when she entered his office. The billionaire sat behind a massive dark desk overlooking the skyline, one hand resting near a crystal glass of untouched whiskey while the other slowly signed documents without emotion. Every newspaper in America called him ruthless. Every business channel feared him. Employees whispered that he destroyed competitors for sport and never forgave betrayal. Elena had heard all the stories before taking this temporary assistant job, but none of them prepared her for the silence that filled the room when his cold gray eyes finally lifted toward hers. "You're late," he said quietly. Elena swallowed hard. The subway stopped because of the storm. That sounds like an excuse. His voice wasn't loud. That was the terrifying part. Men who screamed were predictable. Damian Blackwood barely changed expression at all. She stepped closer and handed him the documents with shaking fingers. He noticed immediately. "You're afraid of me." "No," she lied. A faint smile touched his lips for less than a second. "Everyone is." The office suddenly felt smaller. Elena lowered her eyes, trying not to stare at him, but it was impossible. Damian looked like the kind of man women ruined their lives over. Sharp jawline. Dark tailored suit. Expensive watch glimmering beneath the office lights. Calm posture hiding something violent underneath. He was handsome in a dangerous way, the type of man who could destroy someone emotionally while making them beg for more. "I reviewed your file," he said. Her heartbeat quickened. "And you're overqualified for an assistant position." Elena forced a small shrug. "People take what they can get." "You worked for Hawthorne Media before this." "Yes." "They fired you." The words hit like a slap. "I resigned." Damian leaned back slowly. "That isn't what they reported." Elena felt heat crawl into her face. She had promised herself never to think about that company again. Never to relive the humiliation. But Damian's eyes studied her like he already knew every secret she carried. "They blamed me for something I didn't do," she said quietly. "And did you?" "No." Another long silence stretched between them. Then Damian pressed a button on his desk. "Cancel my next meeting." A voice answered through the speaker. "Sir, the investors are already waiting." "I said cancel it." The line immediately went dead. Elena frowned slightly. "You canceled $1 million meeting." "You interest me more." The words should have sounded flattering. Instead, they terrified her. Over the next few weeks, Elena learned quickly that working for Damian Blackwood meant entering a world where normal rules no longer existed. He expected perfection from everyone around him. Employees jumped whenever he spoke. Entire companies changed direction because of a single sentence from him. Yet strangely, around Elena, he became quieter. More observant. He noticed details nobody else saw. He noticed when she skipped lunch to save money. He noticed when she stayed late without complaint. He noticed when she rubbed her wrist after typing for hours. And somehow, he always found reasons to keep her near him. "Come to the meeting," he'd say. "Ride with me. Stay until I finish these reports." At first, Elena convinced herself it meant nothing. Damien was demanding with everyone. But soon the attention became impossible to ignore. Expensive coffee waiting on her desk exactly the way she liked it. A driver appearing outside her apartment during thunderstorms. Her favorite books somehow arriving anonymously at her door. And then came the rumors. "She's sleeping with him. That's why she got promoted. She's just another obsession." The whispers spread through the office like poison. Elena tried ignoring them until one night she finally confronted Damien directly. "You need to stop this." Damien glanced up from his laptop. "Stop what?" "All of it. The gifts. The attention. People are talking. People always talk. You're my boss. And..." She stared at him in disbelief. "You really don't care what anyone thinks, do you?" Damien stood slowly from his chair and walked toward her with the calm confidence of a predator that never feared losing control. Elena's breath caught as he stopped inches away. "No," he said softly. "I care about what I want." The tension between them became unbearable. Every accidental touch lingered too long. Every glance felt dangerous. Every moment alone together carried the weight of something forbidden waiting to happen. Elena knew she should quit. Smart women would have quit already. But Damien had a way of making the rest of the world disappear whenever he looked at her. And beneath the billionaire's icy exterior, she started noticing cracks nobody else saw. The sleepless nights. The exhaustion hidden behind expensive suits. The loneliness. One evening, Elena found him alone in the office staring at the city lights without moving. "You're still here?" she asked. "So are you." She stepped closer carefully. "You haven't gone home in 3 days. I own the building. Technically I am home." "That's sad." Damien looked at her strangely, almost amused. "Most people would be too intimidated to say that to me. Most people probably don't tell you the truth. And you do." "Yes." For the first time since meeting him, Damien's walls seemed to lower slightly. "My father built this company," he admitted quietly. "When he died, everyone expected me to fail. But you didn't." "No. I became worse than he ever was." Elena didn't know why, but hearing that hurt her more than it should have. "You're not a monster, Damien." His eyes locked onto hers. "You don't know me well enough to say that." Maybe she didn't. But she wanted to. That was the problem. The line between employer and employee vanished completely the night of the charity gala. Elena wore a black dress she almost couldn't afford, planning to stay invisible among the wealthy elite filling the ballroom. But the second Damien entered beside her, every eye in the room followed them. Women stared at him with open desire. Men watched him with envy and caution. Yet Damien ignored all of them. His attention stayed fixed entirely on Elena. "You look nervous," he murmured. "I don't belong here." "You belong wherever I decide." She turned toward him sharply. "You can't say things like that." "Why not?" "Because you make me forget what's smart." For a moment, neither of them moved. The music echoed softly through the ballroom while tension wrapped around them tighter than air itself. Then Damien lifted his hand gently against her waist. "Dance with me." It wasn't really a request. Elena should have refused. Instead, she let him pull her onto the dance floor. The world disappeared the second his hand touched her back. Every movement between them felt intimate. Dangerous. His body close enough to make her heart lose rhythm completely. "You're shaking," Damien whispered. "I hate you for doing this to me." "No, you don't." He was right. That terrified her most of all. When the dance ended, Elena escaped onto the balcony needing air before she completely lost control. The cold wind hit her skin while the city glittered below like endless stars. A moment later, Damien followed. You ran. I'm trying to save my job. I'd never fire you. That's not the point. Then what is? Elena turned toward him, emotions finally spilling over. You make me feel things I can't afford to feel. You're powerful, Damien. Men like you don't fall in love. You consume people. His expression darkened slightly. Who said anything about love? The words hurt more than she expected. She looked away quickly. Exactly. Damien stepped closer. Elena. No. Her voice cracked. You don't get to pull me into your world unless this means something. For the first time, Damien Blackwood looked uncertain. It lasted only seconds. But she saw it. Then his hand lifted carefully to her face, fingers brushing her cheek with unexpected tenderness. I haven't slept properly since the day you walked into my office, he admitted quietly. I think about you constantly. I look for you in every room. And when other men touch you, I imagine ruining their lives. Elena's breath stopped. That isn't healthy, she whispered. No, Damien agreed. It isn't. Then he kissed her. Slowly. Deeply. Like a man starving after years without feeling anything real. And Elena kissed him back despite every warning in her mind screaming not to. The affair exploded after that. Secret nights in luxury hotels. Private flights to cities where nobody knew them. Arguments filled with jealousy and desire. Passion intense enough to ruin them both. Damien became possessive in ways that frightened even himself. He hated when photographers captured Elena's image. Hated when strangers recognized her. Hated whenever another man made her laugh too long. You don't own me, Elena snapped during one argument. Damien stared at her coldly. That's the problem. I want to. She should have walked away then. Maybe she would have. If she hadn't already fallen hopelessly in love with him. But love inside Damien Blackwood's world came with consequences. His company board hated the relationship. The media hunted Elena constantly. Headlines called her a gold digger. A manipulator. A nobody using beauty to control a billionaire. And worst of all, Damien's enemies started targeting her directly. The first threat arrived anonymously. The second included photos of her apartment. By the third, Damien doubled her security overnight. This is insane, Elena whispered after finding another note taped to her door. Damien's jaw tightened violently. I'll handle it. That's what scares me. Because everyone knew how Damien handled problems. People disappeared. Companies collapsed. Lives were destroyed. And Elena slowly realized the man she loved was capable of terrifying things when protecting what belonged to him. The breaking point came during a private dinner at Damien's estate. You had someone followed, Elena accused. Damien didn't deny it. He got too close to you. He was a waiter. He touched your arm. Elena pushed away from the table in disbelief. This obsession isn't romantic anymore. Damien stood immediately. Don't walk away from me. You don't control my life. I'm trying to protect you. No. You're trying to possess me. The silence afterward felt deadly. Damien's expression hardened, but beneath the anger she saw something worse. Fear. Real fear. You don't understand what people in my world are capable of, he said quietly. Then maybe I don't want your world. The words shattered something between them. For the first time since falling in love, Damien looked genuinely helpless. And that nearly broke Elena's heart. She left that night. Ignored his calls. Ignored the flowers. Ignored the desperate messages arriving every hour. Until 3 days later when she learned someone had broken into her apartment. Nothing was stolen. But one message was written across the wall in red paint. Leave Damian Blackwood. Elena's hands shook uncontrollably while police searched the apartment. Then another car suddenly pulled up outside. Damian stepped out looking more dangerous than she had ever seen him. His tie hung loose. His eyes were exhausted and furious all at once. Come with me, he ordered. No. Elena. You don't get to command me anymore. His expression cracked slightly. Please. The word stunned her. Damian Blackwood didn't beg anyone. Yet now he stood in the rain looking completely undone. They're using you to get to me, he said quietly. And if anything happens to you, he couldn't finish the sentence. Elena finally saw the truth in his eyes then. Not obsession. Not possession. Love. Terrifying, consuming, imperfect love. She stepped closer slowly. I'm scared of what loving you turns me into. Damian touched her face carefully like she might disappear. I'm scared too. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Elena whispered the one truth she could no longer deny. I don't know how to leave you. Damian closed his eyes briefly, relief and pain crashing across his face together. Then don't. Months later, the headlines still followed them everywhere. Billionaire romance scandal. Obsession or love. The beauty who tamed Damian Blackwood. But the public never understood the reality behind closed doors. Love hadn't magically fixed Damian. He was still ruthless. Still controlling. Still terrifying when angry. But with Elena, he learned restraint. And Elena learned that sometimes the most dangerous hearts love the hardest. One winter evening, she stood beside Damian on the penthouse balcony where their story had truly begun. Snow drifted slowly over Manhattan while the city lights burned beneath them. Do you regret meeting me? Damian asked quietly. Elena looked up at the man who once frightened her more than anyone alive. Then she smiled softly. Every sane part of me should. Damian almost smiled back. But. She reached for his hand. I'd still choose you.